Good evening, and welcome to the world of softball. You're about to embark on an adventure in the rules of softball game, titled You Make the Call. So often we think that we know everything that's going on. We see things happening on TV, we see things happening on the field, and we see things going on at the ball game we go to, whether it be Little League, whether it be baseball, and so forth. And we think we know the rules. Well, let's test our skill and see if we do know the rules. There are 10 rules that govern the game of softball, and this is ladies' fast pitch. Now, in order to play the game, in order to get started, you have to know the 10 rules. Rule number 1 is field and equipment. Rule number 2 is definitions. Rule number 3 is player substitutes and coaches. Rule number 4 is starting and ending the game. Rule number 5 governs dead ball and suspension of play, and dead ball and delayed dead ball tables. Number 6 delay is pitching. Number 7 is batting. Number 8 is the batter, runner, and runner. Number 9 is scoring and record keeping. And number 10 is umpiring. In this particular game, in order to even start the game, you have to put the rules in order and you have to match the number rule, to the correct title of the rule in order to open the game up. If you cannot put them in the correct order and match the correct number to the correct title, then the game won't even open up for you. You'll have to go back and start all over again, study the book or study whatever you need to study, and start all over again. Now, once you have done that, in other words, you match the correct rule to the correct title of it, that will allow you then to go into the stadium. Now, that doesn't mean that you're getting ready to start as an umpire. Now, what you're going to have to do is, as you go into the stadium to the field, you're going to have to label the field, or you're going to have to match the dimensions of the field. In other words, you're going to have to lay the field out. If you're wrong on any particular one, then it'll kick you back to the beginning of the stadium, and then you start all over again. Each time that you complete a particular task, you're going to get a softball, or you're going to get a very valuable piece of equipment as an umpire that you're going to need later on when you get to rule 6 and 7, when you're dealing with batting and pitching. Rule number 1 deals with the field and the setting up of the field and so forth. The scenario is you are the groundskeeper and there's a major game coming up and you have to set up the entire field. Now, that means you have to line out the bases, you have to do all that. Now, once you do all that, then you can move on to rule 2, but you must be correct in every aspect. Once you do that, then you go ahead and get a softball, or you can get another piece of equipment that will be advantageous to you as an umpire. Definitions are very important because all your rules are based on definitions of various aspects of the game. For example, what is an appeal? An appeal is, let's go by rule, a play or rule violation in which the umpire does not make a ruling until requested by a coach or a player. So you just can't have an appeal by the umpire. So these are the things that you need to learn and define and be part of the game. So as you go in, there are going to be different rules that come up and different definitions. You're going to have to match the definition to the correct word. Well, now that we've gotten through that, whew, I mean, that was something, wasn't it? Well, now that you're prepared with all the definitions and you know what every rule means, or what every aspect of the game means, or you can define the terms, now we're going to go to players, substitutes, and coaches. I will see you on the other side. Well, now that you've gotten this far, let's take a quick review. What is Rule 1? Rule 1 is dealing with the field and the equipment. What is Rule 2? Rule 2 deals with definitions. And what is Rule 3? Rule 3 deals with players, substitutes, and coaches. Okay, now we're ready to move on to Rule 4. Well, how do we start the game? And how do we end the game? Now, Rule 5 make it a little bit confusing, so you have to be up on your game for this. Okay, never mind. Sorry about the joke. Well, anyway, it's talking about dead ball and suspension of play, dead ball and delayed dead ball tables. What goes on? How does it go? When does it happen? Why does it happen? When do you actually call a timeout? Why are you calling a timeout? And all these different scenarios. So, dead ball, live ball, which one are you going to call? You make the call. Well, in Rule 6, pitching. We got to get the ball from the pitcher. We got to get the ball to the batter, to the catcher. In other words, we got to get the game started. But the pitcher herself is governed by many different rules. How do you know if it's an illegal pitch? You make the call. Now in Rule 7, the pitcher's pitching the ball for some reason because there is a batter that's going to be standing in front of you, in front of the catcher, as a matter of fact, and you'll be behind the catcher, somewhere behind the plate. What governs the batting rules? How does the batter behave? What can they do? What can't they do? You make the call. Now, if the batter should happen to hit the ball, the batter status has changed. The batter is no longer a batter. The batter is a batter runner. Now, what can the batter runner do? And what are their rules? And what is going to happen in the field now that the batter is running towards one of the bases? You make this call. I know this seems to be a lot going on, but we're not finished yet. Somebody has to keep score of what's going on. So Rule 9 is dealing with scorekeeping and record keeping. Now, the home team keeps a book, the visiting team keeps a book, and this is where the fun begins. You make the call. Well, I'm glad to see that you made it through. How did you do? Can you really say that you are an official umpire? Do you know the rules? Do you know how the game is governed? Softball has come a long way since from the first game that was played, it was invented at a fire station on the East Coast. And what they did, they got a stick, a broom handle, and they balled up a towel, and that's what they played. Something to keep busy. And look how far it's come. Well, stay tuned and be ready for some updates because the game has changed a lot over the years. And there are different cases and different scenarios that will come up in the next version of You Make the Call. Well, you have a good season, and I hope things work out for you. And I will see you next year, or I'll see you in the next disc on the next game that we play. Bye.